Oh, nice, a new trailer. You know, with Into the Pit and now this game, does this mean we're gonna get more games off the FNAF books? Does it mean I have to start reading the books? How many books are there? Nah. Good morning, dreaming non-believers, and welcome back to Tyron being late to a trailer drop because I be working sometimes, and god dang, I'm just so gosh darn tired. But like, who was expecting a random trailer drop on a Wednesday? I mean, like, come on, man. This game is obviously going to be some sort of take on the Mimic story in the books. And if you don't know what the story in that book is, it's a guy makes animatronics for Fazbear. Guy doesn't want to watch his kid, so guy makes Mimic animatronic to watch his kid for him. You shouldn't have animatronics watch your kid because the kid runs out into the street and gets hit by a car. Guy grieving and upset. The Mimic beats the Mimic. The Mimic then mimics the violence and kills the guy, and then some Fazbear technician comes through to get the stuff, and then the Mimic, again mimicking the violence, kills them also, but then also, the Mimic is also still mimicking the son because the son is who he spent the most time around because he's, you know, the Mimic, and you know, it has this fondness for this tiger plush that the kid carried around, a tiger plush that has 2 different color eyes, also known as Tiger Rock within the books, and all this other fun stuff. Now the trailer opened with a van pulling up to the warehouse, and now this could just be a establishing shot, but I also like to think it's a callback to the fact that the kid got hit by a car by running out into the street. I doubt it's the same street, but I don't doubt that that's what they're calling back to. Going into the warehouse, we do see a lot of new characters and new things. Steel Wool is really taking this opportunity of being in uncharted waters to kind of put their own thing on this, which is, and I'm not saying it's good or bad, it is risky, so we'll have to see how it actually plays out, and you know, hopefully it works out for the better, because that's all we want from this franchise. And then we see a door open through a use of a generator, and I imagine that and the crank we see later in the trailer is how we're going to be unlocking different areas throughout the map. Maybe we have to get batteries for the generator, and hopefully it isn't annoying like the Poppy puzzles. Just hoping. We get a scene of a pan of seeing all the costumes that we also saw in Ruin, but there's also something behind the rack of costumes that I can't make out completely. Followed by our first look at Tiger Rock and then also Jackie. Because Jackie is just a giant animatronic. She's a Jack in the Box character that literally pulls herself out from the box, and that's why the back half of her is just ripped wires because she ripped herself out of the box. So, and the scene with Tiger Rock has the same vibe as the Vanny scene from Security Breach. Now, obviously, they have the connection of one's the Mimic and the other one's being controlled by the Mimic, but that's already obvious to us, so why would they make a disconnection again, unless maybe we're gonna see something like this in the game? I mean, I doubt we're gonna see Vanessa herself because timeline or whatever, but this game does have to have some tie-in with Security Breach and Ruin, considering we know that where the Mimic ends up, and we don't see the Mimic before Security Breach or post this game, at least in the timeline, so we're gonna have to wait and see how this game's in, and I do have a theory on that. Just hold on with me, and while you're holding on with me, go ahead and go down there and hit that subscribe, maybe like, maybe leave a comment about what you think is gonna happen. I always love to hear that feedback, get my mind whirling. But in all honesty, I think the most shocking thing in this entire trailer is what seemed to be the first version of Music Man, which is a whole can of worm I really don't want to go into, because that means we've had this big animatronic Music Man since nearly the earliest in time when we've gotten so far, and yet we don't see him again until Security Breach. Again, making this tied to Security Breach in some sort of way that I just don't know. And also, what the fuck is going on with my hair? Hold on. I said that we're playing as Henry in this game, and I do kind of still feel like we are. I mean, if the game ends and we survive, I mean, I feel like we would have to be playing as someone we already know, or else it'd be kind of weird that we live through this and then never pop up again until at least post Ruin. Or maybe we are playing as Henry, and you know, that's how he knows to come back here during, you know, the FNAF 6 thing. Go watch that video after this one so you can see my theory on that, because that one was crazy. That one was great. It's actually the origin for that right there. After this, there's gonna be a card up there. There's gonna be a card around this area. After this one, this chair is squeaking so much. But anyway, yeah, this chair is squeaking too much for my liking. Time for a different angle. I do have one theory if we are playing as Henry. I imagine we'll be going in kind of knowing the horrors that await us. Maybe we're not even the first team to actually go in, which is maybe why the voice in the beginning kind of prompts us that we're gonna die in there. Because maybe they already sent a team in and they died, which is why Henry's now here to figure out what happened and to stop the mimic. Come on. Jonathan from FNAF did suggest that this is going to be a found footage game because the film reels kind of aesthetic surrounding the trailers. And I do kind of like that proposal that this is being documented in some sort of way. But I don't think it's that like typical found footage thing where the person dies and someone else finds it. I think there's actually a reason for it. I feel like we'll be going into here trying to figure out what happened to old team and put down the actual, you know, mimic itself, and along the way we'll be learning about more of the early days of FNAF and William himself, along with his relationship with Henry and the Fazbear Family Diner and all that fun stuff. But I think we'll also be creating the Mix's programming. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it, the Mix's programming in this game, the one that actually trapped the mimic inside of it. And the Mix's programming has to be created by someone kind of smart. And who do we know that's kind of smart? Henry, or maybe William. I'm gonna be honest, we could be playing as William. Would be very interesting. I wouldn't hate it. I would be very surprised though. I would be very much surprised. But I'm gonna go Henry, I kind of just like Henry. But anyway, Henry goes in, create the Mix's programming to try to trap it. And on top of that, he would be unbeknownst to the mimic programming getting into his helper or helpy, whatever wrench, which allows it to escape, and then years later, helps the mimic escape. And on top of that, I think it would be cool if the game ends with Gregory watching this footage. You remember I was talking about that pin? Yeah, found this footage and is rewatching it to try to figure out how to stop the mimic in the present, tying it back in to the security breach games, because it has to have some sort of tie-in. I mean, I know it's a stretch, but it's better than my other guesses. But even with all the theorizing, there is one thing I do want from this game, and I just want it to be, well, good. I doubt it's going to be as free roam as security breach. I imagine it's going to be more like Ruin, where it's kind of like you just follow kind of a path. But I just want it to be a solid game. I mean, security breach kind of put a lot of, you know, wavering faith in Steel Wool itself. Ruin kind of brought it back. And then also with the recent release of Poppy Chapter 4, Poppy Chapter 4, and that being kind of iffy, you know what I mean? Which the story was good in that game, but you know, it had a lot of bugs and glitches on drop. And you know, the current sentiment of people being tired of games being kind of broken on drop, which, by the way, shouldn't be how games ever be released. I mean, if you need more time, take more time. I'd rather wait that extra month for bugs to kind of get fixed than for the legacy of this game to be kind of tainted by the glitches. So just chill, take your time. But as long as it's a solid game, then it won't pull us away from the story as much, which also has to be equally as solid. This game is obviously going to be, well, set up. It's going to be set up for the next things to come on how we're actually going to stop the mimic in the present. Because you remember, we made security breach in the future. Wait, hold on. No, right. I'm doing this on the wrong side. We made security breach, and then we made Ruin, but now we're all the way back at Secret of the Mimic. Yeah, we have that game, but like that's a whole thing. So we have to somehow tie this into here. And this is as much as I'm talking about the timeline in this video, because everything between, we know this is early, we know this is late, and everything between, it happened. We know that for sure. It definitely happened. Well, no, because they do mention how the games could be games within the something happened. All right, we know that something happened. But either way, it's weird to be all the way at the end of the timeline, your next game to be the earliest in the timeline. So they have to connect somehow. And it has to connect in some solid way, or else it's going to feel kind of cheap. Because at the end of the day, we all just want what's best for this franchise. And you know what? It kind of feels sometime in the community, some people don't want what's best for the franchise. But with this game this year, and potentially the movie in December, assuming no delays, this seems like it's going to be a good year for FNAF. Anyway, that's all I got to say. Good night.
In the back of my old diary, I gotta break sometime. It's underlined in red, scrawled across the screen beneath the spine.